Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Suwaib.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do de. Luta mo nulo jel mo nga andil mahalis. Hello?
Busol mo fine.
What?
Busol mo fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Busol mo fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
Peter, April 10th and 11th of 2000, the darkest day in the history of the Gambia will never come and go without us remembering the brutality meted out on our children. But as an investigative journalist who was on the ground on this fateful day, I can attest that it was not only members of the Gambian National Army who were involved in this atrocity. There were recruited Kasama's rebels by Yahya Jammeh, who I encountered in Old Juswang when they commandeered a vehicle dressed in Gambian National Army uniforms. Their accent indicated to me that they were Senegalese and not Gambian. I totally concur with Pasamba Jau's analysis of April 10th and 11th. I agree with everything he thinks that need to be done. We must remember Omar Barrow, a young Gambian journalist, my colleague, brother, and friend at Sud FM radio station, who chose to take leave of his work as a journalist to join the Red Cross in dealing with casualties arriving at Red Cross headquarters in Kanifing on this fateful day. The night before April 10th and 11th incident, Omar came to my house in Latrikunda and warned me to be very careful. He said to me, Demba Alieu, who needs no introduction, and myself were on a list with the security services with orders from President Yahya Jammeh to kill us in case the student demonstration turns chaotic. I just said to him, Omar, you die once, but I've got a job to do. The next day, in the midst of the student demonstration, I was walking towards Red Cross headquarters in Kanifing when I bumped into Mbanyik Njai. And he said to me, they've just killed Omar at the Red Cross headquarters. I swiftly ran to the scene. Ironically, I saw Demba Alieu casually walking at the Westfield Junction as people were running helter-skelter while the soldiers were shooting, whether in the air or at people. Don't know. When I arrived at the Red Cross headquarters, I found that Omar was shot at point-blank range by a soldier. His crime, while administering to a patient, he dared say these people should not be shooting at the children. Ñi waruñu fetal xale yi. A bullet to his head was the response. There was a member of the NIA, and he had a recording of it. I requested for him to give us it, but he wouldn't risk it for his life. Under Yahya Jammeh. I rushed to Omar Barrow's house in Latrikunda, where I found his wife cradling his newborn baby. Everything after that was a blur. Another victim, Yusuf Hambai, who was shot on Kairaba Avenue and left handicapped, now wheelchair-bound, must also be remembered. The student was shot in the back, showing that he wasn't the aggressor, but in fact was running away. Let's talk about how the shooting started. The commander of the Gambian National Army, Lieutenant Colonel Babukar Jatta, apparently tripped and fell while approaching the demonstrating students when the soldiers behind him started firing at the students. This is what we were told in the aftermath commission of inquiry. I later found that this was a silent code in the army. That when the commanding officer leading the troops falls down, you shoot at anything in front of you. After all this atrocity against innocent children of the Gambia, a commission of inquiry was set up by the perpetrator, Yahya Jammeh, and most bizarrely, to add insult to injury, journalists were not allowed to be those that should be asking questions. Well, I found a way of breaking that rule by not coming to the inquiry as a journalist, but sitting ordinarily in the public gallery. When I rose to ask a question, the army commander, Babukar Jatta, who was in the dock at the time, said to the chairperson of the commission, "This is the journalist I was telling you about that I saw at Westfield Junction." The chairperson asked me if I was a journalist. I said to him that I was there not as a journalist, but as a concerned Gambian citizen. The chairperson did allow me to carry on with my questioning, which was straight, simple, and forward. That at what point and time did the Gambia Police Force ask for the assistance of the Gambian National Army in dealing with the situation, as it was a police matter? And if there was an inventory of weapons taken out on that day, which I asked to be submitted to the commission, whether that has been done or not, I do not know. I remember being the only journalist, I stand to be corrected, to visit the executive members of the Gambia Students' Union in detention at the Serious Crime Unit of the Gambia Police Force. I took them newspapers and had a chat with them. I remember approaching the police headquarters and seeing the Inspector General of Police, F.R.I. Jammeh, closing the curtains of his windows. On arrival at the reception, a police officer said to me, "The IGP is not in. He's not in today." When I later quizzed another police officer privately, he said to me the IGP had given them instructions to tell me that he is not in whenever I turn up at the headquarters. All said, 25 years on, the families of the victims killed and maimed in the 2000 genocide against our students, our children, must now have justice. If this cannot be achieved after a quarter of a century, I am hereby calling again on our members of parliament to do the right thing. Call for the impeachment of this man, because he's not resolving things that we all fought and died for.
Axel jam si Wave.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jël moto nga andil ma xaalis. Hello?
Bësal mu fay.
What?
Bësal mu fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills, and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. Ak Wave. Bësal mu fine. Wave. Your money is yours.
Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.